Hey there, Trail fam. Welcome back to Run, Hike, and Van Life and episode 5 of my 13-part hike along the legendary Foothills Trail in South Carolina. Today we're hiking from Sloan Bridge, Trailhead, A9, to Fish Hatchery Road, which is Trailhead, A10, and that's only 3.3 miles, but don't let the short distance fool you. This section is very lush, peaceful, and packed with sensory magic. The trail kicks off with that classic foothills vibe: deep woods, dappled sunlight, and the quiet rustle of leaves underfoot. It's the kind of stretch where you can really fall into a rhythm. Steady breath, easy pace, and that grounding forest silence all around you. If you've been following along with the series, you'll know that the last section from Fish Hatchery to Burrell's Ford had a little bit of up, followed by a lot of downhill. Well, this one's almost exactly the opposite. You'll start off with a little downhill, followed by mostly uphill at the end. As you're going down this trail, you're going to notice that it's pretty damp for the beginning section of the hike, roughly 1.4 miles. You're also going to notice about 4 campsites off to your right. These campsites are between the trail and the river. But whether these are going to be a good site for you or not is going to depend on the season that you're hiking in. In summer, I would look for a much drier area because of the trapped humidity. None of your gear is going to dry out if you're hunkered down by the river with no airflow. On the other hand, if it's winter, these sites would be way better because they're more shielded from the wind that's going to be whipping through the leafless trees. There are 3 waterfalls along this trail. You'll come to the first 2 pretty quickly. You'd barely even know they were there because of the steep drop-off that you have to go down in order to see them. It's actually because of one of these hot waterfalls that I've had to hike this very same trail 3 times to make this video. So we're going to save these until the end of the video so you can see exactly why I had to redo this trail so many times. The 3rd waterfall is so close to the trail you can almost reach out and touch it. This one is called Hiker's Peril Falls, and it's absolutely beautiful. This is the perfect place for filming a short or taking a selfie for sure. If you love ferns like I do, this spot is sure to be one of your favorites. Just look at this. They are everywhere. You're completely surrounded by a carpet of them. Just amazing. This plant right here is called Amianthemum muscatoxicum, also known as fly poison or stagger grass. I learned about it on my first trip down here because it had an incredibly intricate white flower head on it. And yes, I learned its scientific Latin name. Did you know that scientific names only have the first word capitalized? Learning things in Latin came from back when I was in 6th grade. We took it as one of our classes. That's where I learned about root words and how they played a part in many other languages throughout the centuries. Later in high school, it came in handy when my English teacher, Miss Colo, would always try to think of some word or concept to stump the class. She would come in and ask if anyone knew what the word was. After a while, it got to be known that I could always answer, so she would often tell me not to answer and give everyone else a chance. Then she would turn to me when they didn't have any idea. It got to be a little game between us, and a fun little competition of sorts. So one day she came in smiling and said she knew no one would be able to get this one. She asked, "Does anyone know what Legionnaire's disease is?" Then for good measure, she told me not to answer. Once she got blank stares from the rest of the class, she turned to me, ready to rejoice in victory. She said, "Jonathan, I know you won't be able to answer this one." I said, "Well, do you want the scientific name or just the English name?" You could instantly see her expression change. She replied, "Just give me the scientific." It's Legionella pneumophila, a form of pneumonia that was first discovered after a large American Legion convention in Chicago. This was held in the first hotel to ever have air conditioning. After the convention, a couple hundred people came down with a new strain of pneumonia that had never been seen before, and it was traced back to the air conditioning filters. This was before anyone knew that the filters should be changed and could harbor disease-causing germs. The name was attributed to the convention that inadvertently made the discovery happen. The class was speechless. There were other ones, like Drosophila melanogaster, the other name for fruit flies. But I love Miss Colo for doing this. I'll always remember her searching for new ways to keep her students engaged and learning more. But the fly poison plant is poisonous to flies and cattle and anything else that eats it. It's highly poisonous, highly toxic. Stagger grass comes from what will happen to your livestock should they eat some of it. They're going to stagger around before they die. And after some uphill, here we are at the end. We're about to come out to the parking lot that is the Fish Hatchery Road. And this little plant is called smartweed. It likes to grow next to roads, in disturbed soils, and next to fields. The whole plant is edible and can keep you alive should you need something to eat. And this little plant here is called partridge berry. You can tell it by the little red berries very close to the ground. They have 2 white dots on them. Those 2 white dots are from the merged flowers that always come out in spring and early summer, and they're always in pairs of 2. Those 2 flowers merge to make the berry, so they'll always have 2 white dots. And as you know, my favorite thing in the world is fungi. And here are some wood ears. You can see they're very gelatinous and like little ears. They're almost like gummy worms. I love them. They are edible, but they're kind of described as like eating plain jello. And here we are at the first of the waterfall trails. This one will be the second one as you're coming down the trail. I'm just going to go down and show you the incline. And here we are at what would be the first waterfall you come to when hiking this trail. This is the trail I lost my Insta360 Go 3S thumb camera on. Down there. Yeah, the magnetic camera clip for your hat, don't trust it. I had filmed the entire video. made it back to here, and decided to climb down just like I'm doing now. On the way back up, I realized that my camera was gone. You'll see just what kind of an ordeal it is just to get down here and how slippery it is at the bottom. Well, I knew the camera had fallen off somewhere down there, so I tried using the Find Me feature, but there's no signal out here. It only showed me a circle on a non-existent map. I went over every inch of this area for over 2 hours and never found it. So then I bought a GoPro 11 to replace that camera and filmed the whole trail over again, only to find out that the footage was so shaky I couldn't even use it. I also spent another 2 hours down here meticulously combing over every millimeter of this side trail, only to find nothing. Well, needless to say, I could do this trail blindfolded now. Since then, I've changed my settings on the GoPro, along with a few other things. But the lesson here was to latch down anything you can't afford to lose. Also, the Find Me feature only works when there's a map it can plot its position onto. If not, you're gonna be toast. Using the feature, I was able to get the exact coordinates that you can then plot on Apple Maps for a rough location, but once the battery goes dead in the device you're looking for, you'll never find it. Important life lessons were learned here. That's it though. Section A9 to A10 Sloan Bridge to Fish Hatchery Road. At only 3.3 miles, this trail is totally worth it. If you're new to the Foothills Trail, this section makes a great warm-up hike or a quick weekend hike. Stick around for the next episode where we come from Upper Whitewater Falls to Sloan Bridge. It's 5.5 miles and you're gonna love it. Thanks for coming along, and as always, keep moving forward one beautiful mile at a time.